Welcome. We are here today in New Haven, the Elm City. My next guest, the Legends of Legends. From his days at Eli Whitney to his dancing days at the Freddie Fisher Dancing and Entertainment for the crowds, to his nonprofit, the Newhallville Neighborhood Corporation, an original from the Newhallville area, born and raised. He's so good, they call him 2Gs. My man, Gary Gates.
Hey, what's
Welcome
going on,
to the
my
bigger
brother?
place,
How you doing, baby?
I'm blessed. How you
right,
doing?
right. Feeling the same, bro. Feeling the same. It's good.
What's popping with you, man?
Man, man, just trying to stay focused through life, man. It's always a challenge when I get up every morning to try to do something I did yesterday, but do it better. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's my whole little movement there.
Got you, man. Talk to me, bring me back, man. Let's go back to the beginning, man. What people may not know. Gary Gates, you grew up in New Haven, Newhallville area.
Mm-hmm.
What was life like for you growing up? Let's start around grade school.
So I want to say I was a kid that moved around a little bit. I had a few aunts that lived on the other side of town. So I went to a couple grade schools. I went to Jackie Robinson, Truman, Roberto Clemente. So I had a few friends growing up from different sides of town. So with that being said, that's kind of what happened to me with grade school. And then after a while, I eventually ended up in Jackie Robinson, kind of graduated from there. I ended up going to Eli Whitney. Took up fashion of all things. Learned how to make clothes for 4 years. That was due to in the 80s, in the late 80s and before the 90s really hit. Our generation was more creative about being individuals and not like wearing the same clothes as everybody else. So that came into play for me. So that gave me something to try to, obtain later on in life, and it ended up getting me a clothing store because I tapped into that whole process that I learned a little earlier through that same experience. So, that's kind of how it was for me with the school thing. But other than that, man, it was a sweet journey for me, man. I mean, it's nothing easy out here. You got to know that as well. I would say my tougher times were when I was young. Again, moving from family, house to house. Unfortunately, my mother wasn't in the best situation. I didn't grow up with a dad. So I'm kind of one of those kids in that time I could stay out late. So I'm 13, hanging with the 17-year-olds. I'm too immature at that time. But when if you're growing up in that era, you definitely had to be on your P's and Q's early in the game. So it kind of matured me. But that was something I also used in the future for me. It was a skill that I learned to apply to my entrepreneurship later on in the future. So with that being said, I think those struggles early really kind of sharpened me up for something later on and prepped me for what I'll become later on in life. And for me, like I said, I didn't really respect those moments going through them. Nobody does, because it's like, why me kind of a person. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I was a talented young brother. Like I was telling you before, between the gymnastics and the hip hop dancing days and all that other stuff, that kind of was where I was. It was so new to us at that time. It was being birthed in them 70s. I'm a 73 baby, and I'm kind of right at the start of hip hop. Like, soon as it started, I was born that year. So for me, I feel like that's my religion. You know what I mean? Hip hop. So that was our dream. And the whole culture of being with the fashion and all that gave me entrepreneurship. And me going to a technical school, vocationary school, which is a trade school, if people don't know. You get to get all different kind of trades in you before you actually pick your trade, which would be like carpentry, fashion, metalworking, drafting, whatever. They give you a taste of everything. Mm-hmm. And I ended up taking fashion, man, and I learned to sew for 4 years, man, make clothes and stuff like that. I didn't actually use it early though. So another backstory to the younger age. Mm-hmm. I used to always watch this barber that I would live with my aunt, my cousin in Church Street South. He would always come to the house and cut our hair. And I was always to pick up his tools. And he was like, oh, you interested in this? Mind you, I can draw. So I'm thinking about, again, I come from the era where you get your names in your head. So I'm like, yeah, I want to put his name in his head. I had to have been about 9, 10 years old. And he was like, all right, little man, but next time. So he didn't give me the clipper, in other words, but my aunt went and bought me a clipper.
Okay.
And I think it was a Kmart, whatever was around at that time. She went and got me a clipper. Man, that clipper made me a barber in like 6 months. Not a barber, but it gave me the ability to say, yo, I can do this. You know what I mean? I can actually, my cousin's here. Thank you, Eddie Yates. I appreciate it. Being my first client. Still with me to this day. Again, when I first started, it was like, okay, now if I combine the art with cutting hair, can use this, to my ability. And I never planned on using it in the future. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to get good at doing it. So with that being said, that was something I picked up along the way, in other words. So with that in high school, that I got to slide in with the hip hop dancing. So I started with this group, Easy Style Productions. My guy, manager of the group was Kenny Powell, Newhallville legend. Another one, Flash Gordon, and all you guys. I grew up with that I grew up under all that stuff, and they really got me into music. Now, mind you, my family is musical. I seen that with my mom's being a singer and my dad being a piano player. Mm-hmm. Again, not really being around it too much, but knowing these things had me intrigued about music, about myself. So that what drew me to that group, and then as that moved on, we began performing in different parts of the state. And that's when I flourished at that point, because as a younger individual, you're looked upon, to be the marketing tool. Mm-hmm. Because all the older people they're going to phase out after a while. Mm-hmm. So when they look at you, they like, all right, we can do him. So I was being manipulated. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that, with talent wise, you doing shows, you getting longs, I'm getting some clothes, couple dollars in my pocket coming from Winchester Avenue. That's kind of good for me. Like, so I'm like, you know what? I'm getting this. That's good. But when I started to understand the business later on, 15, 16, I realized that I was being hustled. I kind of faded away from that kind of a thing. And also I was slightly had my foot in the street still, kind of. I was trying to use my talents that's what I tell all these kids. If you good at something, use that to get out of the hood, because that's ultimately what's going to be your passion, and it's going to give you a everyday drive. But so I would say to myself, you know what, Gates, you're going to have to make a difference. Something's got to change. And lo and behold, the woman that I'm with to this day ended up telling me she was pregnant. Now, mind you, backtrack my story. I didn't have a father. I didn't grow up with all that consistency of raising a kid and all that other stuff. So I had to work on the fly. I wasn't going to let my kids go through what I went through. Mm-hmm. They didn't deserve that. They didn't, it's not their thing. So, yeah, so at that point in time, I decided to make a big change in my life. So that's when I started to put myself through barbering school. Again, I didn't plan on it, but I knew I could get some money from it because I was pretty decent. Mm-hmm. So put myself through barbering school. That was from like 95 to 2000. Okay. And then that's when I teamed up with the other brothers Mike Knight, Danny, Sweat, Big Man, Whitney. We all teamed up in like 2000, and we started a barbershop called EGK's. Love these brothers, man. They really taught me a lot about, this is hard for me, but to put it in words, because there's so many words I have to say, but I can't really do it in that many words. But those brothers taught me a lot about manhood, what family looked like, because I come from kind of a broken structure. Not to say that my family wasn't there. They didn't make sure I go to no institution, nothing like that. They wasn't playing that kind of game. I stayed at the aunt house for that happen. Yeah. Grandma house, you know how that goes. Everybody go to grandma house. So with that being said, but they gave me a little something I didn't see coming from a male's point of view. How their families was more structured than mine, and it's all right to not to take everybody so serious. Where I come from, a guy make a joke on you, that's pure jealousy. Yeah. You know what I mean? But where they come from, it's like an honest, hey man, we just having fun. Like, you know what I mean? So you got to learn the difference when you're dealing with people, because you don't know what and where they come from and how they grew up and the things that they've been through. Mm-hmm. That could really like decide how you make your next judgment about that person. So with that being said, I always respect them, brother, because they gave me another look on how I should look at people when I'm having conversations with, or I'm dealing with somebody new. I don't have to always look at it from an aggressive point, in other words. Yeah, so those brothers got me through the first first years of I think we was together for, when was COVID? 2020, right? Yeah, 2020. We kind of all broke up around that time. Me and Sweat, one of my other guys, we still together, but the other part of the crew, COVID was so drastic to a lot of the people, man, they couldn't do it. You know, they had to move on to other things. So it worked for me though, bro. I'll be honest with you. That 25-year span from what we did together was so impactful in our community that we broke the town line of Hampden, not first, but we were one of the kind of stores that made it acceptable for our people in our community to want to cross the line of Hampden to come into that southern portion. Because when I came up, you tied your pants up tight, straight, you know, because you didn't know what to expect from the police in that area, because back then it was judged a little differently. Not to say that they're like that now, I'm just saying in that time. And yeah, man, so that's kind of what we want. When we teamed up, that's kind of what we wanted to do. We was trying to show our own people that, yo, man, we can do something together, like without everybody being in charge of each other. You know what I mean? Like, your responsibility is your responsibility. When bills need to be paid, bills need to be paid. So let's not play the game. And as long as everybody understand these things, you can have longevity with your own kind. You know what I mean? It's just when you let greed seep in and deceit seep in is when you start to have your problems, because your team ain't tight. So, but COVID kind of broke us up a little bit. Everybody had, you know, they got families to take care of, you know? And for me, I knew this was what I was going to, this is it. This is the end movie is barbering, like, you know what I mean? So I took that into consideration, and I'm still doing that to this day. That's one of my, I've been on Dixwell Avenue 30 years, from me working from 2 different barbershops in these same 2-3 blocks to where I'm at now. So that was one of my things I wanted to accomplish in my life as far as entrepreneurship. So when I grew up in Newhallville, growing up here, I always seen a lot of entrepreneurship here in New Haven. I mean, in Newhallville, sorry, not just New Haven. And for me, that was okay, we can own our own. We don't have to work jobs for other people. That just was my vision. That's how I took it. So I took it to a heart, whereas if I ever got in a position to do that, I would do that. So I did that. I ended up once I put myself through school, we opened up that barbershop, and I just took off there. From that point on, then at the start of 2000 also, that's when I started the basketball tournament.
Okay.
Now, I took this, essentially I took this idea from a guy that first had us out at Bassett Park. His name was Dave Durham. He was like the janitorial guy who also ran the gym at night at gym time for us at Jackie Robinson. Real great guy, man. Anytime we got a call being settled, Dave, he can not even see the play. He make the call. Y'all gonna cut the lights out. Like, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, so he started us out. So that was kind of my motivation to wanting to do it, because he had passed away. God rest his soul. And also the brothers in the neighborhood, we will also do parties there. Rest in peace party for other people that passed away. That was something Newhallville was always known for at Bassett Park. So I just took the concept, and me also being an AAU coach, on top of that, I kind of transitioned into turning it into a tournament over the time. But I didn't start out with my AAU presence. That was something I had over there. I wasn't combining the two at the time. I was utilizing the kids from the community. Every section in Newhallville had a basketball team. Reed Street section, Winchester Avenue section, the up top section, whatever they wanted to call it. We started out with our teams. It was really community based at first. But my thing was to get everybody in Bassett Park for one day without doing anything bad. See, I always had a hidden agenda. That's what it is. Still to this day, that's what it is. I'm trying to show us that we can do stuff how they say it? How they say the word?
What you mean?
Contrary to people's belief.
Oh, belief, okay.
That we can't do something together. That's what I'm saying. That right there is where I think
the negative.
Right. That right there is where I think I took the drive and really pushed that tournament and say, you know what? Watch what I'm gonna do with this. So maybe within the 5th year.
When did the tournament start?
We started in 2000.
Okay. So the tournament started in 2000.
It was just random. It wasn't like we all planned it.
Yep.
Me and 2 other my brothers were sitting at the park, and we were just like, yo, you know what? we should do a such and such and such basketball tournament because we all affiliate with basketball at this time. So it's like, you know what, and I got players, I can do the kids version because I got all the AAU cats, so I can just bring them. So then boom, we took off for about a good 5 years, running good. We had a few bumps in the road, but once we got to about year 15, we on what they say, we on autopilot. We on autopilot. Yeah, we on autopilot now. But every year, there's always gonna be a new batch of young cats, and I kind of ingest when they come around because you don't know what these kids are going through. Yeah. So here's an opportunity also for us as doing philanthropy work, as being pillars in our community, as wanting to have that conversation with that kid. So you got to want to now understand that you are now the older person that was talking to you when you was younger, and now have the same kind of conversations with them. You can't just go, oh, that kid too bad, or you got to stop and go, you was 13 too, you was 12 too. Like it may annoy you the way they doing their thing because every generation, I'm pretty sure you annoyed your grandmother, your aunt when you was younger. Right. So, I mean, we all been through it. It's just accepting the fact that you got to be better than what the concept of saying that I can't help that kid. Now, mind you, some of our kids are mentally challenged, bro. That's a real thing in the Black community right now, man. And it's due to the fact that we lack fathers in the families. I mean, they're incarcerated. Unfortunately, a lot of them are going through stuff a lot of times. And that don't always be the case, too. Sometimes it be the baby mama don't just want the daddy in his life. You know, that could be another. And then on top of that, the dad may not want to be. There's so many variables when you coming from the hood that could change how that kid see things. They got immature brains, bro. They're not mature yet. They ain't really catch up to the what? Maybe 25, your brain is mature. You know, that's a long time. So if you getting all this bad information, and they in social media, this time is YouTube University, you got anything that they can just attack information with, and without you even helping them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't got it's not the grassroots just going back and talking and sitting
down.
Even the old days in the barbershop.
Right.
You used to come in, and I remember used to come in and just as a youngster, I remember my first time I was in the barbershop, I had headphones on. And they was like, take your headphones off.
Right. There you go.
Because you want to be listening
to what's going on. Right.
Different conversations and stuff like that.
That's what I'm talking about. When you speak to that element is one of the main reasons I come in and work every day as well. Because I know I play a part in that. Because I don't do, now, unfortunately, our game is turned into appointments. A lot of barbers turn into doing appointments, which is fine. That's their passion. That's what they like to do. For me, I like the part of having the conversation with the people who come in. See, what people don't realize is if I have 7 people in here and they having a conversation, one is a carpenter, one is an electrician, one is maybe a police officer, one may be a governor. You don't know who you're sitting next to, but we're all on the same equal line while you're in here. So the conversation is plentiful. You find yourself ingesting what another person said and then having feedback. And now within those 7 is another young guy who's listening to this and he's gaining access to information he probably would never heard before.
Yeah, because I relate to you, my father not being around. Just having that male figure. Just the barbershop was a place that I can hear about a lot of different aspects.
Right.
And what I gravitated to the most was what my elders did, and I always paid attention. A lot of people say you got to watch who you get information from.
Right. No doubt. That's the number one.
Information.
Right.
What I choose to do with it is what I choose to do with it. But I would see what a lot of my elders, and a lot of times they would say, "Yo, I wish I did this. I went after this." So just growing up, that's the things that I focused on. Even like Nana used to get mad at us stuff. She used to yell at me for turning the TV on 7 a.m.
Right.
But look what I do.
Right.
Thanks, Nana.
I know that's right. Thanks, Nana.
So, but I understand that.
Right.
And the aspect of the community and having that with the youngsters, you really drive that point. And I see that over the years that I've been here, especially with Newhallville, just the atmosphere and everything like that, family, and having those pillars that is needed in the community. How do you think you growing up, being involved in the dancing, the gymnastics, having a different perspective because you were traveling too outside of Newhallville, which is very key. How do you feel those characteristics help translate into what you do now? And also, how do you feel that's helping the community as well, that you're bringing a different impact? from personal experience?
So I'm glad you asked that question because that's a great question. So me having all those early traveling moments, it gave me different visions of how other places operate, ideas, things I haven't seen before. So when I would come back here, and I didn't see these things, I felt like if I ever got an opportunity to implement different ideas into a community, I would do that. So that's kind of what I do with New Haven Apparel, my clothing store, 799 Dixville Avenue. Another thing I own there. All right, so what I did with the clothing store is I take all our local designers and I give them a brick and mortar, a space where they can put their clothes and market their brands because they don't have it here. It's not like they can get in our local stores at the level that they're at. So I utilize that as a way to connect with our community, to network. We can still do work with each other. You give me your clothes, I'll sell your clothes. Get you to understand how business operate at a smaller scale. So when you do upscale at a bigger point, I like to be a starting point for some of these people. So that's how I utilize my experiences when I traveled and seen other things. And I was, it changed my mind on how I see things growing up, And if you get those moments early, you kind of come back home to your hometown and you be like, okay, that was stupid. Maybe that could be that. Or, you know what I mean? That's kind of how you take those things and you add them into your life later on. So that's what I did with the store. I just took those moments. You know what? When I traveled, we're supposed to be the tri-state, but we know that's not the case. They consider us New England. Most of them consider Connecticut a highway, like you're just driving through it. It's crazy what they say about us. But yeah, but the fact that I would go to New York and frequent, the places there and see the different and how fast the city is, it kind of gave me a different feel on how to utilize that in business if I ever opened up business. Like let's take New York. For instance, it's shiny. Everything is real shiny there, bright, flashy to that. So that's kind of like different concepts that we didn't really see here as much. So that's why I kind of like stuff like that is what I look at when I look at business and how can I add and implement someone's idea without reinventing the wheel to a place that I was always told, look for the problem and that's how you make your money. You know what I mean? So with that being said, that's kind of what I do right there with that. So that's how I did use it like that. That's to answer your question.
With all that being said, what came about establishing the Newhall Neighborhood Corp?
Okay, so that's Newhallville Neighborhood Corporation is not a new thing. It's a program that was designed in our community by a guy called Mr. Freeman and others. I'm not sure everybody's name. I don't want to mispronounce, but I know Mr. Freeman because he was the main guy. Mr. Freeman is like one of those pillars in our community that he did unspeakable work, man. It's just not enough people give him more credit than I think he deserves, in other words. But so he kind of started Newhallville Neighborhood Corporation, and all the kids from my era would go to this rec center that we had on Sherman Avenue after we leave Jackie Robinson. You learn how to play pool. They got all kind of programs and the stuff they don't have for the kids today. So all the things that we were learning were keeping us out of the streets. You know what I mean? Bumper pool, like who's playing bumper pool today? Nobody even heard of that. So it was
Bumper pool was nice, man.
I know it was good. It taught me later on how to utilize it in pool technically.
Yeah.
So it kind of started there with the name. And when I started the nonprofit organization, I wanted to keep the authenticity of the neighborhood. So people would identify and understand that this ain't just some program coming over in our neighborhood, starting something and just trying to be what you or us, and that's not the case. So once I put the name out there, I knew the people from our community would understand and identify with the name. And we turned it into a nonprofit. The name was available. We ended up getting it. We were able to use it. Like I said, and I just propelled it from there, man. It wasn't a question of what I can do with it now because I can take it to different heights. And it's all about, so we was doing the work already. The nonprofit just made more sense because now we can utilize the funds that are given to nonprofits in order to, better your community. So that's kind of what we wanted to do anyway. And you do it. You see the work we do. Every Sunday we're out there, trying to change people's lives on a daily basis. and it's still Newhallville. And we've grown. We've grown to pull in other cities, such as the Bridgeports and the Waterburys. That wasn't never a thing going to happen in New Haven. That wasn't something that people thought was going to ever happen. But again, through my travels, the AAU portion of me got to meet those kids when they were younger. So my kids and their kids kept the relationships over the years. They all turned out to be good kids. So now, with that being said, I'm able to now branch and network and get the thing that they thought couldn't happen with our cities are now happening all in the city of New Haven at a basketball tournament. That all started with some hamburgers and hot dogs and some music here and there. So it's bigger than what people seeing, except people who actually see it. That's what I like to say. And I love it, man. You don't find yourself working when you do something you love. You know what I mean? It's too easy to do this. I'm going on week 6 already. I'm at week 5 this Sunday coming. It'll be over in another 2 weeks. So that's how fast it fly by when you love what you're doing. You don't look at the work because it's like, okay, I'm here now. I'm doing the man upstairs work. He put me in a position to be this person. And once you accept your role in life, but what your purpose is, you could kind of wake up every day with ready to go. You on it. Like, it's like, man, what you said I can't? Watch this. So that's how I look at it. It's all a good thing.
What I particularly love with me coming from Springfield and having the opportunity to play in the tournament,
right?
It was from my personal experience, it was just a great bridge and connection to the city,
right?
Because everybody was there over the past 2 decades that has been going on now. But what I loved about it was the finale, how you integrated everything, where it was the Newhallville reunion. Talk to me about that and the significance of that final piece to the tournament every year. Because, I mean, everybody comes out. You got people that are coming back home from vacation. They're not booking vacation around that time. And by the way, they added the fish, too, so you need to check that out, too.
Thank you.
But with that said, just the significance of the final day and the event that happens every year annually for this tournament. What is the significance of the Newhallville
So
reunion?
what I did a few things with that. What I did was I combined our championship game with our community day. It didn't start out like that. It started out just the basketball tournament. And, it still was big. It still was as large as it is, but we didn't involve the whole in our community at that time. So I want to say like 10 years in is when we changed the format. It was like, you know what? The more we involve our community, the more we're doing our work. So that's when we changed it into a Newhallville Community Day / our reunion. And now you got people who's like, oh, wow, we meet, you're going to be. So the term got everybody back here. And it's a beautiful thing. Like you said, people are coming in from down south. They grew up in this neighborhood. They probably moved out, but this particular day is something they could all be around and back in their community. So I utilize the championship game so they can have some entertainment. It ends at on the 6th day. So everything culminates all at the same time. And I also have different entertainment. Maybe a drill team do their little portion out there. I have 2 kids games that I normally do, championship games out there. I involve the youth. I guess I have them from about maybe 9 to about 14. I have them do their thing. I got live entertainment going on out there. I also have maybe a dunk contest if there's enough time to get that in between. So yeah, and it's all free food all the way around the park. It's to give back to the community. By the way, we don't make any money. What we charge, we get put right back, and nobody's, so we're doing the real nonprofit work. And at the last day, we just involve everybody. So you'll see families on one side of the fence who's just cooking fish themselves or hot dogs and hamburgers. You'll see one guy who's slabbing, cutting all kinds of different meats. You'll see vendors out there giving out information about getting signed up to register to vote. Things of that nature. Book bag giveaways. Like I said, the food is like nobody can stop eating. It's food from 1 o'clock to 6, 7 o'clock. It's constant go.
Cousin Lucky.
You already know. You know what time it is. So, and the culmination of it all is I would say at 5 o'clock when the championship game goes on. So everybody that's been excited and waiting to get to this moment, we are now here. So that's when it looks like the cage.
Yeah.
That's when you see it. We just locked in. It's like I can't even count how many people be around that thing. And it's good, man. I love it, man. And it's a good time. And we get out of there safely. Everybody enjoy the moment. It'd be a good weekend because we'll have probably a meet and greet maybe the day before or whatever. Just it'd be a good weekend for whatever, for everybody. And like I say, I love it, man. I love it.
And that's another thing that I love too about it, coming from Springfield. We get the rap as far as New Haven, top
Right,
five.
right.
But the police presence, and not just the police presence, just their partnership
Right.
and what they're giving back. I mean, they're out there giving waters. They have a
Right.
good time. They look forward to being out there to seeing the game.
Well, you know how it is in inner cities, small inner cities that have black inner cities. There's a stigma going on, whereas we can't police ourselves. So what we also are showing the people who are coming to our tournament that we can police ourselves. And the police are volunteering to be a part of the presence because they want this to happen. They're not doing it because somebody's making them do it. They're coming out going, look, man, this is how we can give back so we can change how people look at us. You know what I mean? I kind of understand that too, because again, when you clashing, you don't serve the purpose as a person being in that situation if we don't like each other or we ain't got no common interactions. Now, also, you get to see every kid in my community. Now, that's not little, and that's not the bad guy that you thought he was. You've seen him at this park. You know who he is. So now you'll look at him differently in another situation. You may give him a break if something happened. Like, look, man, I know you're a kid that been at this park. I'm gonna give you a shot at, maybe we can help you out. So that's the kind of connection you make when you have that kind of ability. I'm loving it. I even had the cops versus the fire department play a couple years. I know you've probably seen that one. So, and just the building of the relationships with the city of New Haven is that's a bigger thing, that we've gained over the years. So it's nice. It's nice.
With that being said, with the city of New Haven, and the community itself, where do you see the tournament, the overall park reunion? Where do you see this going, and what resources do you feel would be as substantial and beneficial to helping this keep going and elevate and evolve?
Well, what we do coming from the city of New Haven, I would say we don't really depend on those factions to really determine the results of our ending, because even though they're there to help, it doesn't complete your drive. It doesn't keep you pushing and hungry if somebody's constantly feeding your hand. So what we do is more charitable work to get and raise the money in order for us to get it up. And then once we have what we need to be at, we'll come partner with, you want to partner, you have a program for us, we're willing to help. You willing to help? We need that. And so with that, that's how you build a relationship, because you never know what a lot of government officials and you don't know what other people's agendas are. I'm not choosing side when it comes. So with nonprofits, we don't lobby for all that kind of an issue. That's not what we're in it for. We're talking about what we're talking about with this one anyway. So with that being said, our thing is just to do what you can for your city. And you know what I mean? If you see you want to help a program elevate and go to the next level, then do it. So the city of New Haven has actually done that. I will give them the props. So they have actually come up to me personally, people that they sent to me or talked to me, or even the mayor for that. Sometimes he's at the community day event, and they all talk. Yo, man, Gary, if you need anything, let me know. Everybody's helpful in wanting to see this thing grow. And I'm not gonna shame anybody when it comes to that. But that was over a period of time. We had to get there. You know what I mean? I think we've done that. Job's not done. And also ultimately, I see this thing being passed on to the next generation of people, and it thriving and moving on to being something bigger than just what it is today. And that can be anything.
Got you. Last question I like to ask: what is next for Gary Gates? What do you want the people to know, to the perspective you want them to start looking at and just open their eyes and just see the future and possibilities, what do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy should consist of people looking at my life and saying, that's a guy who really made an impact on his community. He had a purpose, he served his purpose, and he enjoyed his time while he was here. And legacy is it for me. I don't need a trophy. You ain't got to give me the whole song and dance. I know what I've done, and I did it purposely, and that's just the end of it. I think all of us have that purpose, and when you challenge yourself to do that, it becomes a better environment for the next generation behind you. So ultimately, that's what I'm doing it for, those behind me. I want to leave them some kind of structure that we can build on continuously and get back to being prosperous.
Love it, love it. Gary, I appreciate you.
No doubt, brother. Always a pleasure, man. Yo, this is one of my guys. He also played in the tournament. Had the Michael Jordan Kobe kind of game. Like, now, serious business.
I appreciate you.
No doubt, man. No
brother,
doubt.
like I said, this show is about proving the negative.
Yes.
You are an example of that. You are a legend of that. Keep doing your thing. I truly appreciate you taking the time to sit with me on the Bigger Play series, to share your story, and we give you your flowers. Definitely keep
Appreciate
doing
that
your
once
thing.
again, baby.
Doing your thing. This is 2G because he's too good, Gary Gates. I'm Jordan Edward, the Phoenix. This is the Bigger Play series. And check out the next episode.
Peace.